Think the apps that you built in Dataverse for Teams can only be used by the members of that team? Well, think again. Hey makers, April Dunnam here. In this video, I'm going to walk you through some new features that were just released that are going to enable you to take your Power Apps that you build in Dataverse for Teams and share them with everyone in your organization, not just the members of the team that you created in. I'll show you how it's all done coming up. So to give you some background here, when Dataverse for Teams was first released, it gave us the ability to create Power Apps inside of teams that we would associate with a given team. So as we're seeing here, we would have different teams like this crisis information team, build Power Apps and chatbots and things like that within that, and share that with the members of that given team. And this was great for those smaller applications that target specific users. But what if you want to leverage Dataverse for Teams to create a Power App that you can share with your entire organization? Well, as announced with this blog article, Microsoft has released something they're calling broad distribution apps in Dataverse for Teams. This is their way to fill that gap and give us a method where we can share a Power App in Dataverse for Teams with members outside of that team. So let's jump over to Teams and see how this works. First thing we'll do is we'll open up the Power Apps application inside of Teams. So we'll click on the three dots in the left rail, select Power Apps. And on this home screen, we'll see the list of recent apps, but we want to go here into the Build section. So you'll select the team from the list here on the left that you've created an app in that you want to share. In my case, I'm going to go to this Power Platform Conference team that I have, and I've created a conference scheduling app in here. So from here, we'll click the See All button. And we'll be taken to this screen where we can see all the assets for this Dataverse for Teams environment within this team. First thing that you need to know about this is you have to be an owner of the team if you want to share these applications out with people beyond the team. So if you're not seeing these options that I'm showing you right now, most likely you're not an owner and you'll need someone with owner permissions to do it, or you'll need to be granted owner permissions to the team that the app is in. First step in doing this is you want to give the outside users of the team access to the underlying tables in your Dataverse for Teams instance for the app. So in my case here, you see I just have a Canvas app and one table called Sessions. To give them access to the table, we need to go into this Tables tab and get to the table from here, because this is going to give us the option that we need to grant those permissions. So we'll click these three dots and select the Manage Permissions option. Now we get this brand new configuration screen where we can apply different permissions to this table to the various groups. But within our team itself, this is also the screen where we could go to choose people who are members of the team, what access they have to this table, and what access guests have as well. So right now the members one is highlighted. If I click on that, I can see that members have full access to this table right now. They can create new records, read all of the records, and update and delete. If I click on the guest one though, I can see the guest have something called private permissions. This is more restrictive, meaning guests are enabled to create new records, but they can only read records that they've created, and they can only update or delete their own records. The other two permission types that we can give here are collaborate and reference. With collaborate, you can create new items and read all records, but you can only update and delete the records that you create. And with reference, it's kind of like view-only permissions in SharePoint. You can't create new records, you can't update or delete, but you can read all records. And then of course there's this none option here, meaning you can't do anything with this table. So below the member and the guest option, we see we have a new option here called colleagues with access. So I can click on that option, and I can see by default, this is set to none. So if I want to share this table with people outside of this team, I'm going to need to give them a certain permission level that gives them access. So at this point, just choose whichever one of these permission levels apply to what you're wanting people to be able to do with your application. So I might select, for example, this collaborate so that they can add their own records and see records, but not update other people's entries. So now that we've given this permission, we'll click Save, and that will apply to the table itself. Now we need to go over to the app that you want to share and actually share that out with these external people. So to share out this application, we're actually going to go back a step. So we'll use this tree view here and circle back. so that we can get back to the screen where it shows the built by this team and the installed apps. So on this screen here, on the right-hand side, we see an option for share with colleagues. So we want to click this button, and this is going to give us the option to share out this app with people outside of our team. And for the app that we're looking at here, you can see that we've actually already went through this process and shared this one out because this toggle for colleagues can use is turned on for this app. And here in the text box, I put in the security group of Power Platform Conference to designate that's the group that I want to share this with. When you're sharing out these apps, you can share it either with a Microsoft 365 group or an Azure Active Directory security group. Now the caveat here right now is you can only share this out with one group, so you can't put multiple different groups in here. Since I've already shared this one out, let me actually go to a different application so you can see what this will look like if you haven't went through the sharing process yet. So I'm going to go over to a different team called this Test 7 team. And in here I have another app, so I'll click the Share with Colleagues button up here. And you can see for this one, the colleagues to use is grayed out and there's nothing there in the text box. So what you'll do at this point is enter in the group that you want to share this with. Again, it can be an Office 365 group or an Azure Active Directory security group. So I might want to share this with, say, our HR group. So I'll just start typing. It should filter a list below of the different groups that you have. So I can select HR. And then we need to toggle this colleagues can use radio button from off to on. So we're sharing it with this HR security group and we're saying that they can use this particular application. And we see below there are two other apps. Those are some of the sample apps that I've installed. So if I wanted to share those apps with this HR group as well, I can toggle that to on, and those would show up there for the other users. But I'm going to keep it as Test 7 here, and we're going to save, and this will apply that and make this available for everyone. Now let's look and see where they'll be able to access this app. There are a couple ways that you can choose to have this app distributed. As is right now, if we don't do anything else, people can go into the Teams App Store and add your application as a personal app. The process of that would be they would click on the Apps tab in the left rail of Teams. And the first section that should pop up here in the apps is this built for, and that will say your company or your tenant name. So you can go to the See All button, and then you can see all the different applications that have been built and deployed for your tenant. We have a special section here called Built by Your Colleagues, and that's where these applications in Dataverse for Teams with Power Apps will show up. So as you can see, I have several, so we can click Show More, and users can scroll through this list, and I see here is that Test 7 application that we just shared out. So I can click on that, and then select the Add button, and that will add that here on the left rail as a personal application for me to use. Now, all of your users would need to do that in their own Teams environments to be able to see this and use it. Another way that your users can use your application that you've deployed this way is by clicking on the app and clicking the drop down next to the Add button. And then here they have the option to add to another team as a tab. So if we select the Add to a Team option, we can search for a team. So I shared this out with HR, and I have an HR team here. So I can choose a channel within that team and then click the Set up a tab option. So both of those ways are great, but what if you want to automatically deploy your app to all of your users and not have to have them go through manually installing it or adding it to another team? Well, that's something that we can do with Teams app setup policies. If you know you want to deploy your Power App this way, we need to do a couple additional steps. So we're going to go back into the Power Apps application inside of Teams, and we'll go back to the Build tab, and we'll use our Power Platform Conference example. And we'll click that See All button again. And I want to go to the Apps tab. So here, if I click the checkbox next to this particular app, you'll see an option in the ribbon for Add to Teams. Now we need to click the Download App button. This will download and create a zip file for us with a manifest file in it so that we can take this package of our Power App and upload it manually into the Teams tenant app catalog. This is important because in order to configure apps with setup policies and make them be pinned to the left rail here for all of your users, they have to be tenant applications. So this has downloaded a zip for us. So what we need to at this point is go back into that app section in Teams, and we'll select this Upload a Custom App button. And we'll select the option here for Upload for, and then it will have your tenant name. So we'll go here and navigate to that zip file and click Open. So the other way that I showed you of how you could share these applications, it showed up here in this built by your colleague section. But when we're adding it this way via the tenant app catalog, it's in this built by your org section. So I can see our conference schedule app here. Now I can use this with a Teams setup policy. To create the setup policy, we need to go to the Teams Admin Center, which we can get to by going to portal.office.com. Clicking on the admin button, we'll expand out the show all and we'll go to the Teams Admin Center. So here in the left navigation, we'll expand out the Teams Apps tab and we'll go here to Setup Policies. You can have multiple setup policies for your organization. So as you see, I have one here called Global, which is an org-wide default policy, which would apply to everyone in your tenant. And then I have another one that I've created called First Line Worker, which would apply to a subset of the people in my organization. So if I want to share this with everyone, I would go into the Global App Setup Policy group, and you'll click this Add Apps button. That'll pop open a panel on the right there, and you will search for the application that you want to add. So I just typed in Conference there because that's the app that we just went through and uploaded to the tenant app catalog. You see that it shows up here, so I can select that and select the Add button. And then we'll just select Add one more time down here, and that will install that app for all my users. I can take it a step further and make that app also be pinned to the left rail. And when I say pinned to the left rail, what I mean is it'll be one of the icons or the apps that show right here for all of our users. So to do that, you'll just select the Add Apps button again. We'll search for that conference app, click Add, and now that shows here, and we can even change the order if we want to kind of move that up above other applications. We just select it and use the move up and move down options. And then we'll click Save. And now this application will be deployed for all of the users in my organization. So that's really all that I had to show for you all. This new functionality really takes Dataverse for Teams to the next level and opens up even more possibilities. I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, give it a like, and share it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.